God of War? More like God of War. God of War 4 is the 4th installment in the God of War franchise, featuring Kratos and his son Arceus. Following the trend of Sony Studios, God of War 4 is the next Sony IP to focus more on storytelling, considering an evolution of the series. But is it the evolution we wanted? Is this the same God of War we once knew? God of War used to be an arcade-style hack and slash game about a great neckbeater guy and his genocide against the Greeks. If I talked any more about the older games, I'd need to get footage for it, so I won't. One of the things people complain about is the story. That it's not grounded enough, that it's too cartoony. Well, I, for one, was inspired by the older games, since I'm currently waging my own crusade against God for what he let happen to Mass Effect Andromeda. Focusing on the gameplay later, let's talk about Kratos. People consider Kratos an unrelatable, bad character because he's just anger and death threats, but I disagree. Not every character needs to be well developed with layers. Some characters are just vehicles for the player. For example, I think Master Chief is a badass, not because of his deep philosophical nature, but because of what the game allowed me to do with him, his story arc and what he goes through. He's a soldier, and he does what he needs to do, and you do what you need to do too. Same with Kratos, he's angry, I want to stab people, works out, perfect harmony. When you start adding layers to him, it changes not only how the player plays the game, but also the gameplay. Because now the gameplay won't be built around that murdering everyone thing. Yes, I know that sounds terrible. I'm no longer role-playing as a guy who wants to kill everything, but I'm now a father figure and I don't give a shit about his family. So instead of immediately putting a twist on Kratos' character, I would have suggested keeping Kratos the same, of course, but because they want to make him a father figure, why not let it happen over time? Let us start off with the same Kratos, let us feel the relationship between him and his son Waden as he sees me wearing the skin of my enemies, snarky remarks, maybe not helping out with a few puzzles, or flat out just leaving you in a few fights. And then Kratos realizes over time that he needs to not be a psychopath if he wants this relationship to work, that if he cares about this, he needs to become more human. Then you get this meaningful story while he's still in some way being faithful to the character, and you allow Kratos to organically evolve throughout the game. As I previously said about the gameplay, they're going to tone down a lot of the gore and there won't be any nudity. They're getting rid of the arcade style of combat and they're making it more grounded. They're also getting rid of Kratos' most iconic weapon and replacing it with a wood cutter. I mean, it's a magic wood cutter, you know, it's magical and sparkler. That's sort of what I meant by how changing the character affects the gameplay. Kratos is more chilled now, so we can't have blood all over the place. We can't really be as gruesome as we used to be. There are no sex scenes or nudity, and there's nothing wrong with it, but it's not God of War. I hate this idea that characters need to be relatable. I enjoyed the old Kratos because he was a badass, not because I related to him. He was just a fun character, and I think we need more fun characters. I appreciate what they're trying to do with the story and making it more engaging and grounded, but they've taken away a lot of what made God of War God of War. Kratos, the combat, and even the adult and gruesome themes. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure it will still be a great game, I just wish it was a God of War game. I just think it's hilarious how Kratos spent like 5 games murdering his entire pantheon, and now we get a new game, there's just a whole set of new guys who I guess were just watching this whole thing play out and did nothing about it. I don't know, if I'm a Norse god and I'm watching the whole Greek mythology, mythology, is that how you mythology?